It's memory level time. It's memory level time. Woo! Hi. It's memory level time. Yep, it is that time of the week once again on a Saturday where I'm going to be doing a little bit more work on the memory level. We've got 2 more videos of this, and in today's episode, I'm going to actually start decorating this. If you haven't seen the previous 2 episodes, basically I spent those episodes building an entire memory layout here. It's about Insane Demon, I think. Some parts are a bit harder than others. It might need a bit of balancing, but today I want to start decorating this. And the style I kind of want to go with for this is I want to do kind of like a club step type style, but like kind of enhanced club step. So a little while ago I made this, which was kind of the style I want to go with. I really like it. It's very simple. It's basically just like 1.6 plus glow plus like a couple other like just slopey bits that would kind of fit in with the update, you know, just to add a bit more detail, but still kind of fit within that 1.6 vibe, right? So it's kind of the style I want to go with here. I don't know if it'll be exactly the same, but considering I really want to get half of the decoration done in today's video, having a simple style like this is definitely going to help with that a lot. So like any bit of decoration really, I think the first step is probably to replace all of these with the outline blocks instead of these just like default blocks here. Alright, and for these fakes in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these 3D lines here because these actually don't have a hitbox, but they kind of look the same as regular lines. They work pretty well as like little fakes, right? That's why it felt really weird. I was building and I'm like, it just feels slightly slower. I don't know what the deal is. It's because I had speed hack on for some reason. I'm hacking in the editor, dude. What's happened to me, bro? Oh no. All right, at this point, I've got all of the outlines in place now. So I'm going to go back to layer 0 and then just delete all of this block design here so that the outlines just kind of are the only things there, right? Instead of just selecting each thing, why don't I just use the delete? Yeah, that's a genius idea, dude. The delete tab's awesome. Next thing I think I should probably do is change the background color. Now, what do I want to go with here? Do I want to go full club step style where it just kind of changes colors a bunch to like random stuff? Goes to a nice green here because why not, you know? I could probably be a little bit wacky with the colors. I'll get a little bit more wacky with them in this part, I think. But for this first part, I might just like fade between these type of colors here. And now for the block design. I mean, I can always be a bit boring with it. I do want to have a lot of bricks. How many bricks is too many though? I think for the pillars, I want to go brick. But then for these like smaller structures here, I can kind of go a little bit, you know, a little bit more wild. Just do a different block design really. But a little bit more wild, I guess, and do that. And then maybe I can even layer some of these slabs on top like that. But maybe if I make them a little bit darker. What I'll do for color too. This is very a me moment. I'm going to copy the color of the background. Brightness up a bit and saturation up. Oh, no, saturation down a bit. I think that works, yeah. With a bit of glow and stuff as well, that'll work pretty decently. And then for structures like this one over here, what I can do is I can chuck one like that. Yeah, that works pretty well. All right. The next step I want to go with here is I'm going to head onto this layer and I'm going to put in some backing blocks. I'm going to copy the color of the background again, saturation right down and brightness down a little bit as well. Yeah, something like that, I think. And then I'll layer it below all of those blocks. And then that gives it just like a nice backing, which essentially means that I can chuck stuff like completely behind that, right? Now I just got to chuck that behind all of this block design here. All right, and now finally we have the glow, which I think is what I'm going to put on color 1. I'm going to copy the color of the background, not the object, the background as usual, and give it blending. Oh, look, it's a little bit much. I feel like this needs to be a little bit less bright, like 0.6 or something. Yeah, that looks a lot nicer. You can see, like, compared to this, it just gives it a bit of almost depth, right? So that's for all of the brick structures, and that looks good for those. What about these? I feel like I could... Ooh, I have an idea for these. Let me start off on a bit of a simpler design here. But what I also want to do here is I'm going to use these tiny bits of glow. I've done this technique in the past, and I generally love it. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to copy the... Yeah, I'll copy the object color, I think, and then make the brightness a bit lower, maybe 0.6, and then give that blending, of course. And then so this little bit of glow across the top here, make sure that's layered on T2. Yeah, it just makes the top of these feel a lot more like there, I guess. I don't know. It just makes it feel a lot better. Nice. All right. Well, I'd say that is just about all of the block designs in place. These spikes, what I kind of want to do, and I don't know if this is going to work, but I kind of want to color them a little bit differently. That doesn't work. I think just making them half opacity is probably the way to go. I don't know. I might come up with something a bit better later on, but I just don't want them to be like as in your face as they are at the moment, right? I was like, oh, I'm just going to do this small bit and then like finish off the rest. rest. You know what? I may as well just do the rest because it's not that long of a part, right? I'm trying really hard not to get too caught up in just like trying to add little details because it's a simplistic level. It doesn't need to be that detailed, right? But God, I want to add just a couple little like maybe bricks in this guy because it just looks a bit too simple, right? Ooh, yes, but maybe a little bit like darker just for these. Yeah, and it just incorporates like a little bit of the brick, but it's still like very simplistic. I really like that actually. Okay, awesome. And then for these bottom bits, I'm probably just gonna chuck regular bricks in there. Nice. All right, I'd say that's a pretty decent Clubstep monster. I can give him like some ears or something as well if I wanted. I like it. All right, awesome. I'm going to decorate the rest of this part real quick. It shouldn't take too long, I don't think, surely. This is already looking really cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm super happy with how this is turning out, dude. All right, now I think what I want to do next is I want to do some pulses. And the great thing about like what we've done here is that if I just copy the color of the background here and then like shift the hue a bit, it's gonna like fit with the level super well because everything is copying the color of the background, right? Look at my colors, bro. It's either black or it's copying the color of the background or the object color. So, you know, we can change this to bloody blue if we wanted and it still looks pretty decent, right? I think the first thing I'm gonna do is change to like that. So it's gonna like, and then maybe I might even do like an object color pulse as well. And then it'll go to a completely different color over here. Like, I don't know, a green or something. Just some like very basic pulses, you know, just to kind of get the level going. All right, cool. So now that I've got those pulses in place, I think it's about time we do a little bit of, I guess, ground spikes. Yeah. What I've been really enjoying doing recently is just chucking in just a few of these bushes around the place, right? Not necessarily like every single block, but just like a couple of them here and there. And then I'll fill in the rest of the space with just these normal ground spikes. And just putting them every now and then just gives like a lot more detail and I don't know, it just looks cool. I like it. Maybe I can chuck a couple of these around the place. I want to make sure these are a bit far away from the orbs though, because I want to put some orb design as well. I'll just use these, I think. Ooh, that kind of works. And then maybe chuck a couple of these that are like actually colored like that. Yeah, I like that. I think I used that design recently. Where did I use that? Yep. This is a level I use that exact orb design, bro. Oh my God. Maybe I'll chuck one of these. All right, well, getting distracted by orb design aside, I'm going to try and finish off this ground spike design here. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of love ground spikes because you could just blindly add detail. I mean, not completely blindly, but like, I don't know, there's something very specific about ground spikes where they're allowed to be messy because they're ground spikes. Block design, you don't want it to be too messy, but ground spikes, who cares, bro? It's literally ground spikes. I'm gonna speed through a bit more of this as well because we've got a lot of stuff to cover in this video and I don't want it to be like 40 minutes long. So what I decided to do next in a classic me fashion is adding some rotating objects sticking outside of the block design. I use these little saw blades and slowed down the rotation a little bit and I thought that looked really nice, so I applied that to the rest of the level. Now, because these have a hitbox, you do have to make sure that they don't obstruct the path where you actually have to go through because there are fakes and stuff. And so to add a bit more detail where there are fakes so it doesn't look super bare on the walls that have fakes in them, I added these little fake spikes on the side that are colored just to add that little bit of extra detail to it, right? And so once I was satisfied with the amount of detail in this part, I wanted to have some sort of an indicator for where the fakes were. I messed around for ages trying to work out like what design I want to go with these like curved objects, maybe making something rotating. And I eventually landed on this pattern with two curved outlines like so, and I think it looks really cool. I made it red and then I set up a spawn loop to make it rotate like so. Then I went ahead and pulsed them on and off just so that they're not constantly there, but there's still like a slight indication so it makes it a bit easier to learn and practice. And also make it a bit easier to find the path because that's kind of important as well. I think this part's just about done, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think there's too much more I really want to do with this, right? I could make a couple of these objects move slightly. Okay, so a couple things. First of all, it's too quick, and second of all, it's the wrong way. Yeah, that's actually really neat. I really like that. Okay. It gives like a very interesting, like slightly moving vibe. And to fit in with that, now I want to like make a couple of these structures move. Please stand by. All right, I made a couple of the structures just move ever so slightly into place. Not all of them, just a couple of them, right? I'm going to call this part done. I think this part is just about complete. I think it's really cool. I'm really happy with how this turned out, dude. Alright, well, moving on to the next part then, I guess. Alright, so I think first step for this part is I need to come up with a bit of a design for these bits here. I kind of want to use these bad boys here. I think these guys could work quite well for these. I kind of like the vibe of these structures a bit more than these ones though. The only issue is it looks kind of dumb having these spikes on that, right? I could use these ones again with like just regular outlines like I kind of used them in the previous part here. Maybe have them rotate around so it creates a bit more of an interesting design. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. That's a bit better, okay. And then of course, gotta go down the pipeline of adding some backing blocks like so. Plus maybe what I could do in terms of glow is just chuck in one of these corner pieces, right? Layer that T1 and then give that the group as well. It's very simple, but I feel like it just works, you know? And obviously I'm gonna have a lot more in the design than just that. I think maybe instead of having these spikes here, what I'm gonna do is have invisible spikes. Yeah, so it's just a little bit more hidden, right? I don't know if I wanna go to green, by the way. I kinda wanna go to blue first, and then I'll go to a bit more of a green, but that'll be a bit darker. All right, I've just added in a couple like basic pulses here to, you know, shift up the color a little bit every now and then. I think that works. Now, in terms of the ground spikes, ooh, the ground spikes. What I kind of want to do, instead of having gaps like this, I saw a comment, I'll put it on screen if I can find it. I saw a comment about using these like objects, instead of just having a gap in the ground spikes, use these objects, which I really want to do actually. And then I want to use maybe these ones. Yeah, it like sticks out a bit, but not that much. Yeah. All right, so after I got that worked out, I applied the design to the rest of the part and started work on the rest of the ground spike design. So the first thing I did in terms of that was adding this rotating object here. I scaled it up and just made it background blending, and I think it looks pretty decent. From there, like with the previous part, I started working on the orb design just to make sure it didn't clash at all, and I used these little like club objects that swing around. I don't know why, I just always see these as clubs, but I made them black, and I added these like swirly objects, but I already had them in the ground spike, so I got rid of those and made them little cogwheels. Then for a little bit more detail, and I guess height variation in the ground spikes, I built these little things here, which are basically like these little ground spikes sticking up with some glow behind them, and I think they work really, really nicely once you like add a bit more depth using free move. Then I kind of decided this part still looked a little empty. It's just looking a bit sad. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know. So I went ahead and made a bit of a custom background. I used a very similar design to what we had for those like floating blocks that we have, but just made them in the background and a little bit more transparent, just so they weren't super obtrusive. That actually adds to the confusion quite a decent bit, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I like that. That works pretty well, I think. All right, the ground spikes still need a bit more deco, but that's all right. I could do that. I could probably get away with just a couple clouds as well, honestly. One other detail I'm tempted to do is just using these little tiny things and have like a kind of antenna bit that sticks up kind of like this, right? Yeah, that works, I think. And then just to make these look a little bit better, because this always makes them look better, just adding a little bit of blending glow onto them, and then boom, look at that. All right, so I think there's one last thing that I need to do in this part, and that is these structures here. I still haven't touched like the main structures, which is kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. Now, first thing, of course, is I need to do the outlining. I could probably save a lot of time if I just build my layouts out of these outline blocks, I'm not gonna lie. Now, for these thin pillars, I'm gonna go with the bricks again. I wanna use like a lot of bricks in this. But for these bigger structures, I wanna do the same as this club step monster, because I think it turned out really, really nice, right? Alright, cool. Well, all of those designs are in place now. I'm gonna give this a play normal mode, see how it looks, see how I feel. Nice. 6 to 100. Let's go. Half of, like, most of that is a layout, but you know, it's fine. I think one last little detail that I kind of want to do is I want to like chuck a couple more invisible spikes on some of these structures. Obviously, I want it to still be possible, but most of these structures don't have invisible spikes, and the ones that do either have like one or have them going all the way around, which I think is kind of boring. So I just want to add a couple here and there, right? Just to make it a bit more confusing, but also just a bit more interesting, right? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call this part complete as well, which I think is quite neat. And now we're moving on to the wave part. Oh, this is going to be very interesting to decorate. I mean, I think it'll be fairly straightforward. I'm going to save this transition part for after I've like decorated this wave, by the way, because I kind of want a title card in there, maybe. Still don't know what I'm going to call this level. Club something or something step. I don't know. I'll think of something eventually. But for now, I think we need to come up with a design for these like slopey bits here. Would it be cool if I did like these ones? I really want to use these objects. I'm not going to lie, dude. And then just kind of took out a couple here and there, like like that maybe, and then sprinkled in some colored ones. This looks a bit garbo at the moment, but if I go ahead, and what I'm thinking is I want to make these like a really bright blending. Like that, yeah, but then I can add these bits of glow. I want to make them like glow and stand out, right? Like really, really glow, but I can't work out how to do it really. All right, so this took a lot of trial and error because I had a very specific image in my mind of what I wanted these to look like, but after a bunch of tweaking the colors around and adding some white pulses, I ended up getting it looking like this, which I was quite happy with. All right, I've set up a spawn loop. The perfect delay is 0.48 apparently, but that seems to be synced pretty well with the music with these, which is quite neat. And a really good thing about this structure design as well is that I can mismatch these however I like to make more unique designs, right? So anyway, what I also need to do is just do all the stuff with the backing blocks and everything. Just the usual bits to make it look a little bit nicer, right? I think that works, yeah. I still think it needs something behind it though. But anything I add, I feel like would look really stupid. Maybe what I can do is select just like a few of these around the place, right? Similar to what we have on the main layer, and then just make these like a bit brighter. Yeah, you know what? That helps to just break it up a bit. I kind of like that. All right, that works. I'm gonna use that then. All right, well that's that design done then. Now I want to come up with a bit of a design for these little tumors. I was about to say without context, that sounds really dumb, but it just sounds dumb anyway, dude. And you know what? I'm kind of tempted to do some colored spikes for these. Inside, I want it to be maybe the like not quite black color, but nearly black. Is that gonna look really stupid or does that look alright? I'm not sure. Look, it's simple, but I feel like it could work, right? I think as well, if I add a little bit of glow, which I can just simply do some slope glow, right? Yeah, it's simple, but it works. I like that. All right, cool. All right, so now I've got the two like main designs that I want to go with for everything, right? Now I think the next step is just to implement this because of like how these are a bit randomized along with like the backing blocks also being a bit randomized. I don't want to just copy paste the structure across everything. I think I just want to kind of reconstruct all of them. So the first step of that is of course gonna be the outlining. All right, outlines are in place and now it's time to go down a layer and delete all of these so that the outlines are like the only thing that are there. All right, old blocks have been deleted and now I just gotta make these down a layer. I also am just realizing I completely forgot to put in the fake blocks here. All right, fake outlines are now in place and this is already like a lot more difficult. I think there's meant to be a fake there somewhere. I tried really hard not to patch over any fakes, dude, but I guess I got one by accident. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and chuck in all of these top blocks here. All right, and the next step is just to randomly go through and cut out a few of these, like so. All right, and now just gotta replace them with the colored slopes and the colored blocks. All right, and now it's time for the backing blocks, which is a multi-step program, you see. I've gotta place in all of these here, and then I've gotta select this, copy the values of the darker one, and then just go through, select a bunch of these like so, and then just paste state and color, and then boom, we've got a bunch of variation in there. Nice. And then finally, we just need to add this slope glow in here, and then we should be good to give it all the appropriate groupage. All right, and the slope glow is finally in place. Yes, now I can, oh, whoops. Now I can give this all the appropriate groupage that needs to be given. All right, well, some of the layering is a little bit off with some of the fakes, but other than that, this actually turned out pretty decently so far. I'm actually pretty happy with this block design. See how you kind of go behind the blocks in the foreground, but in front of the blocks behind? I kind of like that because it feels like you're going inside the structure in a way, right? Like you're actually going inside of it. You're not just like going over the top of that one specific part, right? I don't know, I think it's neat. Okay, now I think just real brief, real quick like. I just said real quick twice. I'm going to replace all of these with these. Oh, now I need to give them the right groups. Yep, almost forgot about that. Whoops. All right, now all of those are in place and the part should be starting to come together a lot more. Yeah, I feel like it is. There's still like a lot missing, obviously, because this is only the block design, but once we add like more elements of this part in, I think it should start to look a lot nicer. And add more elements, I did. I started by adding some of these basic pulses in, like so. I wanted to go a little bit more saturated in this part just to accentuate the colors of the part a little bit more. And I also decided to stick within the blue to purple range because I don't know, it's like my favorite color range in the whole game. I don't know what it is, man. Blue and purple GD levels, they're awesome. I love them. Now, an issue I did run into were these color blocks here because they weren't actually copying the color of the background. I made them their own color. And so I just converted those to copy the color of the background. I'm actually really happy that I've gotten a lot better with pulses because pulses like help so much with make a level just like feel good. By the way, with doing all the block design here and stuff, it didn't seem like a long time with the way I edited it, but I watched like 2 different YouTube videos while doing that. It took quite a while, but it's done now. All right, so moving on to the ground spikes here, I decided that I wanted to layer them above the block design because it would be kind of hard to layer them behind with like the slopes and stuff. And for the ground spikes themselves, I decided to alternate between these ones and like these little animated ones because, I don't know, I saw it in a Nazgub level ages ago and I thought it looked really cool. From there, I wanted a detail in there that kind of flashed with the colors of the blocks. So I added these little bits in here and gave them the same color so they pulse with the music as well. From there, I wanted some more deco that was just background blending. So I put in these like regular ground spike deco that's in like stereo madness. And I think that worked pretty well with the spiky kind of feel of the ground spikes and the other decoration. And finally, of course, the little monsters. It wouldn't be a Tried level without the little monsters. I mean, let's be real. And then finally, as one last thing to kind of separate it from the main block design is I added a little bit of blending glow behind it. Now, while I'm applying this ground spike design to the rest of the part, I want to really quickly mention glow. Not that glow, but the glow that's around the objects, because I decided to actually keep it on for this wave part. I just thought it worked really well with kind of like the bright neon block design, and I don't know, I just decided to keep it on. Maybe I'll get rid of it later. It also shows the fakes a little bit, but I think that's okay. I know it's a general rule of thumb for a lot of people to just turn it off no matter what, but I think it looks good here, so let me know what you think. Next step, in classic me fashion as well, is adding some rotating objects sticking out of the block design, just to add that extra little bit of detail. From there, I figured it just needed a little tiny bit more of decoration and kind of something to fill in the background. So I made a custom background. Now, I spent quite a while trying to come up with what I want to do in the background of this part. I started with these basic slopey structures like this, and I tried adding some little like outline bit at the top and a little bit of glow, and I just couldn't get it feeling like a background. But eventually I realized they kind of need to be simple if they want to blend in with the background and just kind of sit back there. So I just kind of ended up settling with them being one solid color in the background with just some lower opacity black glow going around the outside of them, just to make them not completely blend in with the background of the level. And I thought that looked pretty decent in the end. Maybe I'll come back and change it in the future, but for now, I think that's pretty good. Alright, cool. That is this part completely done then. I'm gonna do this transition part probably like between episodes. I don't really have the time or energy to do it right now, but I'll probably do that like whenever I feel like doing it and, you know, polishing up a couple more things and, you know, cutting the bottom off some of these structures, all that kind of stuff, right? Just the little bits. For now though, I want to finish decorating this part as well and then probably end the video there. Yeah. I should probably do this as well. I've just realized. Nice. And then the background's already gone for this part. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, one more part left to go. Whew, I've been recording for 3.5 hours now. This, I'm not a quick builder. I have ideas though. I have ideas for this part. First of which is these outer blocks here. I'm gonna replace these with outlines, of course, but I'm gonna have it be hollow in the inside because if you remember from the previous, I think the first episode actually, I said I wanted to have platforms and stuff on the inside here, which I still stand by that. I still really, really want to have that. So I'm tempted to use these objects here because I feel like it could be good to add a bit of color too, right? And in terms of like the color I want to go with for this section, how do I make it not look like poo? Nice, tasty. I'm not going for poo. I'm going for tasty orange, you know? Delicious. I have the mind of a toddler, dude. All right. I don't really want these backing blocks to be like that. I want them to be a lot more saturated. What about that? Ooh. And then here I can like have a little bit of gameplay that kind of comes through here, right? Something like this with a spike on it, a couple platforms that go along that have a couple other spikes on them. I don't know, maybe a jump orb in there. I am just realizing I don't want this to go across the top here as well, because I want this to go all the way down so you don't really know where you're going in. Yeah, see that? Okay, yeah, this is what I'm thinking. You look at this and you're like, what the hell do I do here? But if you know what to do, I need to set a start pause. You just go through there, right? So that's where the memory aspect comes in. Yeah, okay. I'm really excited for this part specifically because my vision that I had before is gonna come to life, you know? From there, it's just a normal design. I might go with, should I do more bricks? I might just do more bricks, honestly. Yeah, I think bricks would work for these, like, just bits of gameplay in here, right? All right, cool. Well, now that I've got this, like, base design in here, which I kind of want to do a little bit more with, actually, just looking at it, it needs something else to kind of break it up a little bit in the background. background because the background's very flat, right? Okay. This is gonna be very controversial. I get that's not the right word to use in this situation. It might not work. If I take one of these, right? If I make this a little bit brighter so it stands out against the background a little bit, and I don't know if this is gonna work because I've never done this before, but if I do something like this, right? And then flip it, right? And then if you move them in opposite directions, it looks like something's spinning. I'm gonna do this in a spawn loop. I'm doing a lot of spawn loops today, dude. I don't know what's come into me. I really feel like doing spawn loops, I guess. So you can see if I zoom into the middle of the screen, it looks like a constant movement, but if I zoom out, you can see they're constantly just moving down and back up, right? And now I'm hoping that if I combine forces, oh, that is super weird, dude. I'm gonna layer this one above that one and then make it slightly brighter. And now I wanna see what this looks like actually put into this bit here. Oh, that goes inside of the blocks as well. Oh, that actually looks really cool. Now, despite how cool this looked and looking back, I kind of maybe want to change it. I don't know. Let me know if you think it looked better before. But I did go ahead and fix the layering because I didn't feel like it fit in with the rest of the level a huge amount. I don't know. It was a very like effect heavy bit. And this is like very clearly not an effect level. Is Clubstep an effect level? I don't think so, man. But after fixing the layering, I was actually really happy with how it turned out. It didn't quite feel like a cylinder rotating like I originally thought it might, but it's still a really interesting kind of animated background to give a little bit more movement and make it feel less static, while also being not super complex, right? It's still fairly simple at the end of the day, right? Now I gotta design these middle bits here. First of all, I might select these like smaller spikes here, give them a group, and then have them like rotate around slowly. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. For a background here, the idea that I had earlier is I want to take a bunch of these like smaller spikes here, right? Copy paste them upwards so that we have more of them. Going to give them a group, 34. And I'm also going to give them I want them to rotate the opposite direction. That's so crazy looking. But I also want to go ahead and move them downwards. Yeah, like that, dude. So they're just slowly falling in the background, and that'll kind of hopefully make it a bit more confusing as well, which will be good. Instead of like completely black, I'll make them that, so they're a little bit less obtrusive. I had people suggesting that like these structures move up and down, but I don't really want to do that like just for the gameplay's sake. But having like a background that moves up and down, I think is kind of cool. I might actually start it by moving upwards, because I feel like this part makes more sense to have them moving upwards. And then for the next one, I could do moving down, next one moving up, because I kind of alternate how the structures work, right? Just this like spike moving up thing and the like movement in the background of the pillar, it adds a lot of movement to this, and I really kind of like that. It makes it feel a little bit more intense, right? Which I kind of like. Now I need to go ahead and come up with a design for these structures here. I think that looks kind of cool. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm having to turn the grid off for some things just because you can't really tell sometimes where there's like a line if that works with the grid or not, you know? I don't know. And then I kind of want to put a colored spike here. Just go a little bit crazy with it. Not much, but just a little bit, you know? Have something like that, and then maybe I can join them together somehow. Maybe a structure a bit like this. Have them both be not black, but almost black. And then in between, laid above. Something like that. I don't know about that one. I kind of like this design. I was like, it doesn't really fit in with the rest of the level, but you know what? I don't really care. I think it fits in fine. Add a bit of glow on there. Cool. And, oh god, orb deco. Might just do a couple lines. I like that jump orb deco. I think that works. Okay, hear me out, right? This is gonna purely be an experiment, but I really want to see how well it works. It's kind of awesome. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm not gonna lie. You know what? I'm just gonna keep them. I think it's neat. Let me add jump orb deco to these, and then oh, my throat's starting to go. I might have to, yeah, you know what? This is the design I'm gonna use for this whole robot part here. I'm gonna go away, do all of this, and I'm gonna show you once it's done. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is done. Yep, I finished decorating this part. I actually went ahead and added some pulses in and stuff as well, just because I figured I may as well do that off camera. I've shown you my process of making pulses with all the other parts, and I just kind of wanted to get it done, to be honest. I've been recording for, I think, 5 hours at this point in total, so yeah, it's gonna take quite a while to edit, but that's alright. Definitely worth it, you know, in order to make it turn out like a decent video. But yeah, anyway, I think that is just about this whole part done. I'll show this part off to you. In terms of the pulses, I kind of went between orange and this more like reddish pinkish type color, right? And I think it's pretty decent. All of these structures with like these bits decorated in here, I tried to make like as, I tried to make them all like as different and unique as possible while still staying in the same theme. And I think I did a decent enough job with that. Something else I also did with these is you might be able to see I added some black glow on the edges, and that helps like sell the cylindrical feel on the inside a lot more, but it also just adds a bit of shading, and I don't know, I think it looks a lot better than it did before. So yeah. Anyway, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end off today's episode here. It was a very long one to record, and hopefully it's not too long once I actually turn it into a video, but I'm really happy with the progress we managed to make today. And yeah, I'm hoping that in the next episode, it won't be too difficult to finish all the rest of this off. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed. As usual, replay is on the second channel, up in the top corner, should be there now. Anyway, I'm gonna end this video off here. Thank you so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed. Huge thank you to the members as always, especially Colum. Really appreciate it. And just, yeah, thank you so much to the members, seriously. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.